Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I am Anand Narasimhan. 22 years after 59 people were burnt alive on the 27th of February 2002 aboard the Sabarmati Express coach number S6. The truth is finally out, as many would say. The Vikrant Massey starrer Sabarmati Report movie chronicles the aftermath of the train burning incident in Gujarat's Godhra in 2002. It was Sabarmati Express transporting the car sevaks from Ayodhya that was burned in Godhra in 2002. These are pictures and names of those 59 passengers, and this is from that day morning. These pictures, which journalists who tracked that and tracked the story still are haunted by these pictures more than 2 decades later. We will also put out in a short while from now the list of the 59 people that included 27 women and 10 children, ladies and gentlemen. They were all burnt alive aboard that train, and that coach was targeted, coach number S6, because that was the quota of those who were coming. That coach had the quota of travelers who were coming from Ayodhya after offering car seva. And that's why coach number S6 was specifically targeted. The Sabarmati Report highlights the truth of Godhra, trashing a fake narrative peddled by the ecosystem. An attempt was made by the ecosystem to erase this horrific incident from history. Interestingly, if you were to search what happened on the 27th of February 2002, this carnage, this brazen, horrific killing of 59 innocents is actually brushed off. And what is focused on is what happened thereafter from the 1st of March. So this 59 people and them being burnt alive is actually glossed over. That's been done. The movie has been made tax-free in the states of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and hailing the move, Prime Minister Narendra Modi posted on the platform X, "Truth never hides and definitely comes out one day. Satya pareshan ho sakta hai, parajit nahi hota." A similar truth is seen in the Sabarmati Report. Home Minister Amit Shah said the film defies the ecosystem with unparalleled courage and exposes the truth behind the fateful episode to broad daylight. Now, interestingly, the Nanavati Mehta Commission report was set up in 2002. It was Nanavati Shah, and then it became Nanavati Mehta after passing away of Justice Shah. Following the burning of the Sabarmati Express near Godhra station on the 27th of February 2002, 59 died. In its 2008 report, the Commission concluded that Godhra incident was part of a premeditated conspiracy, not a spontaneous act of mob violence. The final report, which is of 9 volumes across 2,500 pages, gave PM Modi and his Council of Ministers a clean chit. The Commission trashed evidence provided by former IPS officers like the retired DGP Sri Kumar, Rahul Sharma and Sanjeev Bhatt that alleged complicity on part of the government and its functionaries. It has also cleared former ministers, the late Haren Pandya, Ashok Bhatt and Bharat Barot, over the incidents that happened on 27th February 2002. This evening, ladies and gentlemen, we endeavored to bring some journalists who covered that incident, who perhaps one of the first to report those incidents. Gopal Goswami, columnist and also multiple enterprises he conducts, and he's also somewhere who integrally part of the Surat Literary Fest, is joining us. His column was there where he listed out the first names of 41 victims, if I remember correctly, some time back. We also have Sanjeev Srivastava, senior journalist. With me in the studio is Brajesh Kumar Singh. He's group editor, Network 18, but he was one of the first to know that something like this had happened, and he was in Ahmedabad at that time, just about 7 years into your journalistic career at that time, Prajesh, if I may say that. Uday Mahurkar, the former CIC, should also be joining us, but let me ask you, that fateful day, what happened and what transpired?
In fact, it was quite a busy day. If you remember, precisely 3 days ago on Feb 24th, 2002, the by-election result of Rajkot 2 came, and it was the very first election in Narendra Modi's own political career where he fought any election for himself, because he became the Chief Minister in October 2001, and as you know, we have the constitutional provision to be part of the Legislative Assembly within a period of 6 months. because in Gujarat we are not having any legislative councils. So the by-poll result, it came on 24th of Feb. Just after 3 days, and this Feb 27, it was a budget day for Gujarat. Mr. Vajubhai Wala, he was the finance minister.
Ji.
And Mr. Modi was obviously the chief minister. House proceedings were going on because it was the morning session, you know.
Correct.
And around 9 in the morning, one of my sources in Ahmedabad gave me a call. And the intimation was that something very serious happened at Godhra. In those days, communication, even the road infra, it was not so good like we are seeing today, you know. Even mobile network was very, very poor.
Right.
So the first reaction, the first instinct as a journalist, I called the state police control room, because in a state, we the journalists, we do each and everything.
Correct.
Reporting municipal affairs to a state secretariat to assembly proceedings. So as usual, I phoned the guy who was sitting there at the state police control room, and he gave me the very first indication that there is something very serious in Godhra. And obviously, the indication was that a burning incident of a particular train coach of the Sabarmati Express train, you know. So I tried to contact my local stringer there. Unfortunately, he was there on an assignment in a rural area, and obviously the mobile telephony was very, very limited in nature. So I just asked my colleague in Ahmedabad, his name is Ashish Joshi, to move to Godhra immediately. And after 3 hours, in fact, Ahmedabad to Godhra road journey in those days was almost a 3 hours journey. He called me up from Godhra, and the narrative he had given to us, it was so horrifying, you know. Never ever in the history of India, in the independent India, after the 47 partisan riots, such kind of thing was happened. The burning of an entire train bogie, where 58 people were burned, killed on the spot, while the 59th day, it was in a hospital few days later.
Few days later. And what did they see at that point in time?
Oh my God, it was very, very horrifying. You know, in fact, a few days ago only, I was talking to Ashish. He is in Bhopal with Makhalal Chaturvedi University as a professor of journalism. And no, he still remembers the Feb 27th afternoon, because, you know, he reached Godhra around 12 noon, and then he spent for next 6 hours in Godhra, you know. And when they approached the S6 coach of the Sabarmati Express, there was so much stink, you know. Just imagine the burning of 58 bodies, plus the injury of the several others, and the entire bogie. It was burned to ashes, you know. So the stink was so severe. They both, for example, the camera person as well as the reporter, they vomited for several times, and then narrating the story from the spot as well as covering the entire happening. It was a horrifying experience for them, because such kind of things, it never happened on a routine basis.
But why is it that it's not documented? Before I go to Gopal Goswami and Sanjeev Srivastava, why is it that we don't see all of this when we look at 2002 Sabarmati Express Godhra? What happened thereafter?
You know, this thing happened precisely on 27th Feb morning. The incident happened between 8:47 a.m. to around 9:30 a.m. You know, because it was only all these things happened within half an hour. You know.
हाँ, आप कह रहे हैं 7 मिनट में बोगी जल गई थी?
जी हाँ, बिकॉज जो है करीब 140 लीटर पेट्रोल डाला गया था अंदर, और उस समय आप याद करिए 27th को ये घटना हुई, 27th लेट नाइट को सारी बॉडीज आई गोधरा से अहमदाबाद, एंड देन 28th मॉर्निंग जब लोगों को पता चला, बिकॉज इस तरह की चीज़ें किसी ने इमेजिन नहीं की थी कि एक बॉडी में जला के 59 लोगों को मार डाला जाएगा। अगले दिन राइट शुरू हुए, और उसके बाद से जाहिर है सारा का सारा नैरेटिव इट्स शिफ्टेड टू पोस्ट गोधरा राइट्स। दैट्स व्हाई गोधरा नेवर बिकेम द फोकस।
बट ये आप कह रहे हैं ना कि 140 लीटर पेट्रोल डाला गया अंदर। गोपाल गोस्वामी जी, if I were to ask you this, even today There are long PMs that have been written that this was on top of a height, a bund, and an average person could not have thrown petrol inside. There could have been gas cylinders inside that could have caught fire. There are long narratives and long essays written by some senior journalists who claim that they were there and they went and investigated the whole place, and it was impossible that a mob of 1540 rioters, they won't even say it was a Muslim mob that had targeted a Hindu coach of Karsevaks. They will say that this was Samuday Vishesh, etc., or certain groups. And they say they couldn't have even reached that height.
Okay, Anandji, in that case, let me ask them about the role of the 59th person. So was it the insider job or what? So we have either case, we can blame it either way, and the truth is, the naked truth is, there were thousands of people throwing stones, pouring petrol, and trying to block the people trying to escape out of the train. So what do we call it? The narratives are there. Singh sir has narrated it quite well about the incident. I am worried about other part of that, Anandji. In 2020, when I was talking to my son, and we were talking about this Godhra riots, and he was arguing with me that one of his Muslim friend, when they were talking about PM Modi, the Muslim friend has started that he is a mass murderer of Muslims. So he said, how? So he tried to convince my son that there were thousands of people were burnt on the behest of the system or the government, and Modi was behind all these massacres. Though the fact of matter is he's been acquitted by each court of this land. So he asked me, Papa, then we started checking online, and I could see only the names of Jakia Jafri, Ehsan Jafri, Best Bakery, Bilkis Bano, massacre of Muslims, Modi, the Maut Ka Saudagari, etc. And I could not find anything which can substantiate my claim that Modi was clear. So that was the point triggered me actually. I thought of that. The people born, the boys and girls, the kids born within the 25 years. See, 5 years prior to that incident, and 20 years after that, today they are standing that they know nothing about this incident. The real triggers of the incident, they are unaware about it. Because if they try to search online anything about Gujarat riots, so you will find the names what I described just now.
Right.
So that point of time, I also was not knowing a single name of a person who were burned alive. And see, this thing, the 58 people who burned alive, they actually, that was the point when this all has happened. The aftermath came after that. It was the repercussion. It was the retaliation.
No, but there are those who claim that someone who became a Vidhayak just 3 days before that was busy with the budget session of the Vidhan Sabha on that day, was the mastermind of even what happened with the Sabarmati Express. Uday Maurkar ji is with us. Sanjeev ji, coming to you after Uday Maurkar. Uday ji, do you remember what happened 20 years ago? Where were you on that day?
No, I was a major witness to the entire episode. We started from Godhra and continued for several years, I was there where the bodies were laid out outside the Sola hospital in the morning next day in Ahmedabad, after being brought from Godhra. No, the issue is what? The issue is that this narrative has continued for so many years, and children who were born, say around 2000 or maybe even 1990s, are still not aware as to what actually happened. And this, even in that phase, it continued this falsehood that the train was burned by Narendra Modi, RSS or BJP for the sake of votes. Continued till the High Court judgment in 2010. Now, You see, the train was attacked not once but twice. It was attacked around 8:10 by a crowd of about 500 people, more than that. And then it was again attacked around 11 o'clock when the RPF people came down from Baroda. And they had to fire. And the commandant of that RPF commandant who was leading the team, he has said in a statement that there was a mosque near that place, Single Fadia, and from there slogans were being shouted, Islam khatre mein hai, kafiro ko kaat dalo. This is on record. Actually, how far the media can go in suppressing a narrative, in promoting a false narrative, I think the best example is Godhra. First, they tried to sell it as an accident. And I may tell you one more thing. This entire narrative through Congress leaders and leaders of other pro-Muslim parties was been run by leaders from the Deoband. Because all these people who attacked the train, they are all Deobandis. They are all Wahhabis or Tabligh Jamaat, what you call. Correct? Entire narrative for 10 years, almost 10 years was being run by them only. I remember reporters used to come from Delhi. There used to be a Gujarati newspaper called Gujarat Today, a Muslim newspaper called Gujarat Today, run by Muslim family. You see, and they used to straight away after landing at airport, they used to straight away go to that newspaper's office. So they were never tried to get in touch with VHP. And so the attempt was one, to sell that whole thing as accident, then suppress it, and then trying to highlight the reaction. The narrative was suppress the Godhra incident, sell it as an accident, and highlight the reaction of Hindus on the Muslims. Which was also unfortunate.
But even in the post-Godhra, even in the post-Godhra number.
Mr. Modi, I have travelled with him during that period in his Gujarat Gaurav Yatra. Out of 10 rounds, I was with him on at least, I think 8 to 9 rounds. He used to always say, Godhra mein hua, wo bhi galat tha, Godhra ke baad hua, wo bhi galat tha. Whereas, what was Congress saying? Godhra mein jo hua, वो तो मुसलमानों ने किया ही नहीं था, वो तो एक्सीडेंट था.
So there was an attempt to gloss over or deny what happened and who did it, whatever in Godhra, and then highlight whatever happened post. That's one point.
You see the kind of falsehood which was being spread. There was a story which went on for 10 years of Kausarbi. One lady called Kausarbi who was pregnant. Her womb was ripped open and the child from inside the womb was flung at the point of sword. This story continued for several years. Till in 1910, I decided to call off this whole false story, I went and met the Muslim witnesses who were involved in that. And all those witnesses by then had realized that they were used by Tista Satyawada and company. They started speaking the truth before me. Then I met the doctor who did the postmortem of Kausarbi. Yes, she was pregnant. She died because she was burnt, because Naroda Pathak entire case was of burning, correct? But there was no such incident. But still, to give it a gruesome image, this whole story was fed.
So you are saying that there was an open attempt
without confirming.
Okay, Udayji, you are saying open attempt at narrative spinning that happened, but more importantly, to try and gloss over this gruesome act. This horrific act, these are also innocents. There were 27 women, 10 children in that list of 58 and one more who died a few days later in 59. One minute.
I remember Amar Singh Chaudhary, the late leader of Congress, he tweeted, he said that this is the work of all these right-wingers. I think Shankar Singh Waghela also said that.
So you are saying that there was an open attempt to try and transfer the blame away or shift the blame or try and create a sense of denial. Let me just bring in Sanjeev Srivastava and then I'll come back to where was Narendra Modi, what was his reaction and what did the people of Gujarat at that time ask of, and I'll come to Brijesh Singh on that. Yes, Sanjeev Srivastava. Would you agree that there was an attempt to try and stitch a particular narrative rather than say that this happened here and this happened there?
So there is no question of admitting because I am not in some kind of a dock to admit, but I will agree that Godhra was glossed over. There was less emphasis on Godhra, largely because it did not suit the political narrative of the Congress or like-minded parties or left-wing or liberals or whatever you may say. But also to some extent because of what happened post-Godhra. See, while I agree with nearly every speaker who spoke before me, Brijesh gave such a graphic account, and I got so interested. I would really like to have Ashish Joshi's number from him and maybe speak to him sometime. But coming back to the point, while I agree with most of what has been said till now, what is one reason why I also think why Godhra was not so much, did not remain so much in focus or did not remain so much talked about, because Godhra was an incident which was carried out, executed, the criminals, Muslims, mobs, they were not the state. But what happened later for 3 days or 2.5 days was something that the focus shifted to from culpability to inefficiency. That depended on different people how they saw it. But because I was posted then in Mumbai, so this was very close to, so Gujarat was part of my beat. So my feeling was that I could never come to this conclusion very honestly that it was culpability. But definitely from what one gathered that the government could have done much more, because while Uday was talking about bodies being laid out outside the hospital or bodies coming back, and that was something which everybody knew that this tension and reaction will build up. So more could have been done definitely, and that's why the focus shifted to post-Godhra Gujarat riots and the responsibility of the state
more
government
could have been done,
and why they were not able to quell the riots.
Had there been an open admission of who did it in the first place, and also an holding up of the mirror to the side and saying why did this happen in the first place and why did you do it, would there have been perhaps a different atmosphere, energy, mood, etc. altogether, rather than this entire outright denial or even trying to gloss over the fact? I'm just going to ask Brajesh Singh to answer. Brajesh, what do you think happened there? Narendra Modi 3 days, 3 दिन पहले विधायक बने थे, and what was his reaction? Why was it pinned on him, on Amit Shah at that day? Would you agree with Sanjeev Srivastava that the post facto what happened could have been controlled?
एक तो पहली चीज ये कि let us talk about the facts.
हाँ जी.
अमित शाह उस समय मंत्री नहीं.
हाँ मंत्री नहीं थे जी.
He was a simple MLA from Sarkhez area of Ahmedabad. So he was not part of the government. As far as Mr. Modi is concerned, obviously he was the chief minister there, and as I earlier told you, February 27, 2002, it was a budget day, and in our country there are certain constitutional provisions, and we have to do it. You can't postpone the budget proceedings because it was already on, so you have to complete. But as chief minister, he sent one of his senior most ministers in the cabinet, Mr. Ashok Bhatt, to Godhra, and Ashok Bhai, he was a very senior party functionary, very senior MLA, very senior minister also. He went to Godhra, tried to manage the situation, because there was so much anger. It was an unprecedented case. There were thousands of people after this incident, and it was such a horrifying scene. Finally, Mr. Modi, he visited Godhra in the evening around 5, because to go to Godhra, it was not an easy job. First he took a chartered flight from Ahmedabad to reach Vadodara. From Vadodara, he took an ONGC chopper to reach Godhra. When he went there at Godhra helipad, he was obviously, as per protocol, greeted by the then district collector, the lady IAS officer. Her name was Mrs. Jayanti Ravi. She briefed him about the incident. Obviously, he went to the site also, the Godhra railway station, as well as the A cabin, because this entire burning of the S6 coach of the Sabarmati Express. It took place at A cabin.
A cabin.
A cabin is almost 900 meters away from the Godhra railway station platform. And there were two attempts to damage or to attack the bogie. First, at Godhra railway station itself, when the train got started at 7:47 am, there was a case of stone pelting. Finally, after the chain pulling incident, the train finally stopped at the A cabin, and then there was a stone pelting from outside, and it narrated about the theory that was propagated by the Congress and other political parties to attack BJP as well as Mr. Modi, that no, it can't be done from outside.
Correct.
Obviously, it was not from outside. If you look at the picture of the S6 coach, there is no burning mark below the windows.
Yes.
If you look at the picture, just after a hit, it's absolutely clean. If you throw something from outside, obviously the petrol will pour down to the lower portion also.
But नीचे की लकीर एकदम साफ है.
बिल्कुल साफ है, इंटैक्ट है. जो डाला गया था पेट्रोल, वह जो है वेस्टिट्यूब जो है, S6
का वो जो वेस्टिब्यूल है, हाँ.
जी हाँ, उसको जो है वह ट्यूब का था, उसको नहीं काटा जा सकता था. आप S7 के जरिए अंदर घुसे, बिकॉज वो कपड़े का वेस्टिट्यूब था.
हाँ.
और वहां से आपने वो दरवाजा जो है, आप जो स्लाइडर डोर जो होता है
जी,
उसको आपने तोड़ा, और फिर जो सो आपने 140 लीटर पेट्रोल जो अंदर डाला, उसकी वजह से विद इन 7 मिनट्स एंटायर बोगी बर्न डाउन. और उसमें जो है 58 लोग अंदर ही मर गए, किसी को बाहर, बिकॉज आप बाहर देखिए, बाहर से पत्थरबाजी हो रही थी और अंदर पेट्रोल डाल के जो है आग लगा दी गई. आप बाहर तक नहीं निकल पाए. आप इंजर्ड लोगों के आप नंबर्स देखें, इट इज अ वेरी हाई नंबर.
लोगों का ये पूछना है, पीपल आस्क व्हाई ओनली दिस कोच. अगर उनको ट्रेन जलानी होती, 1500 लोगों का मॉब होता, तो फिर बाकी कोच भी जलाते.
इट्स अ वेरी वैलिड क्वेश्चन. लुक, द कार सेवक्स, most of the car sevaks, they were placed in S6 only, because you know Sabarmati Express it got started from Muzaffarpur in Bihar, and the final place was Ahmedabad. You know, these people, they went from Ahmedabad on 22nd evening. They reached there on 24th at Ayodhya. At Godhra was around 2:55 in the night. You know, but train was obviously late. Sabarmati, as usual, it is a very late train, you know. So it reached Godhra almost 4 hours late. And because the conspirators, because if you look at the entire investigation as well as the judgments of the not only the Nanavati Commission, but even the Session Court, which is ratified by the Gujarat High Court also.
जी.
The entire conspiracy, it has in the previous night. There is an Aman guest house in Godhra, just near the railway station in the Shingal Fadia area. All the conspirators, they were there for 2 meetings. One in the in the evening, and one in the latter part of the night. The entire quantity of 140 liters of the petrol, it got collected from a nearby petrol pump. And then there were certain people who were there at the railway station to get the update about the arrival of the Sabarmati Express. And because most of the car sevaks were in A6, because as you know, the quota system in the railways, correct, that particular bogie was dedicated to Faizabad Ajodhya region. So most of the car sevaks were there. So this particular bogie got attacked by the mob from outside as well as the conspirators from inside. That's the precise thing.
So the facts have been laid out. There are many more aspects to it. What happened thereafter? There are some more pictures and some more instances which are horrific. The names of these people, to identify them also was a huge task because their bodies were so charred. A lot of them were actually going to Ahmedabad, and perhaps that's where the trigger point was, that the whole post-Godhra events also unfolded from Ahmedabad. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
One more thing.
Uday ji, final word, yeah.
I did a story soon after this episode, after the riots were over. The 3-day riot period was over, you know. Then I went through the FIRs, you know. So the FIR used to be mob of 10,000, mob of 15,000, mob of 5,000. These were the FIRs. In central, all these attacks took place in central Gujarat and North Gujarat, correct? Now, उसका जब मैंने टोटल किया So there were 30 lakh Hindus who were out on streets to destroy Muslims out of revenge and reaction in those 3 days. This is there in my report also. The total number of policemen in the state, including the state reserve police, were only 70,000 for the entire state. Mind you, this riot was limited to central Gujarat and North Gujarat. So the government needed police for other areas also, you know.
Right.
So practically for 30 lakh people, maybe only 40,000 people were there to control them. Maybe 30,000 policemen, you know. You get my point?
Yeah.
Second, Mr. Modi has said repeatedly that he sought help from Congress-ruled states of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh. The help never came. Immediately, he had put in a request to the government of Maharashtra, the Congress government of MP, that he needed police help to control the riots, but that help never came. He is on record on that.
So there are multiple inferences that can be made, but the fact is, were there elements, entities who said, let this happen so that there is a narrative that can be stitched? Let this incidence of what happened on the 27th of February be glossed over because these lives actually don't matter or they don't suit the narrative that we want to stitch. How is that fair to a system that should have actually reported fairly and should have said that this happened and this happened? This is our itihas as it actually happened. Why revisionize it and gloss over it?
Anand,
That's the
post-independent India, Godhra incident is a glaring example as to how far a section of the media can go to suppress facts and to run false narratives. I think there is no greater example than this.
Final word, Jess, Gopalji. I've got to wind up after this.
Anandji, this is all said. This is the epitome of how the government machinery has tried to cover up or tried to paint it other way. And this is, I will take 30 seconds. It is happening as on day. What happened on 8th of September at October at Vadodara? One minor girl was raped by 5 people. They were identified as Muslims. All 5 were Muslims. They were produced to the court by the police and sought remand. They were refused. The remand was refused. Just last week, on 8th of this month, in Surat, one spa was charred and 2 female were charred alive. And all culprits were Muslims. They were produced to the court and the court refused bail, remand to the police. Now, what is common in these 2 incidents is, at both the places, the judge was Muslim. So how this is going? It went.
No, I will not entertain that, and that's your comment you have to say. But we have to get into the facts of the case since we are not aware of what happened in those 2 cases. So come back to this aspect that if there is an attempt by certain entities to stitch a particular narrative that was convenient to a particular political disposition that wanted to portray one part of the story or revisionalize what has actually happened, then this movie perhaps brings the facts out, and that's the reason why the likes of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister have spoken about it. The thought process being कि सत्य परेशान हो सकता है लेकिन पराजित नहीं हो सकता. Somewhere it will come to light. Thank you very much for your time. We have to move on here on the right stand. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, the K link to Justin Trudeau, and that's something which Justin Trudeau can't deny to the Canadian establishment and the authorities. We look at the big fallout also of the Tirupati Laddu controversy. 2 details, 2 stories coming up after a break. Stay with us.